Hi, my name is Jon Bruce. Today I'm going to do my Backyard Birds remix for Business Analytics Dr. Andrea Hupman. This is a brief and incomplete explanation of BirdNet Pi. It's an AI-powered bird classification system that I run in my backyard. BirdNet Pi is a real-time acoustic bird classification system designed for the Raspberry Pi. The project is open source. It runs on Raspberry Pi computer, which is a really inexpensive little tiny box that sits in the back, and then their microphone runs outside. The classification model is maintained by Cornell University, the K. Lisa Yang Center for Conservation Bioacoustics, and Chemnitz University of Technology in Germany. A USB microphone is plugged into the computer and it records 24 hours a day. Audio recording is broken into 3-second segments. The software converts the sound into a visual representation. That was a red-shouldered hawk. That's what it sounds like. And over here is what it looks like. Those 3 spikes in the spectrogram. BirdNet Pi uses a convolutional neural network to analyze the spectrogram. I'm going to talk about what that means in practice. It compares a spectrogram to a classifier library of classifiers. It compares the new sound picture to an existing database of known sound pictures. Geolocation and seasonality give confidence to the match. If the AI makes a match, BirdNet identifies the species and assigns a probability the match is correct. This is an eastern bluebird. It sounds like this. That tui right there is the sound of an eastern bluebird as identified by my own Raspberry Pi using BirdNet. That is an American crow, that caw, 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 American crow. And this is the red-shouldered hawk. That kia, 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 I hear that in my backyard all the time. So what Raspberry Pi, the BirdNet AI does is it looks at the spectrogram and assigns a confidence score based on location, season, and the quality of the sound, and makes an identification. And so I pulled a bunch from my computer. This is a 89% confidence on the left. And then this is a 71% confidence on the right. You can see the waveforms, the shapes of the spectrogram, those correlate with a kia, kia, kia. And then this one's a kia, 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 but you can see how it's degraded compared to this one. And then like this one in the top on the left actually was higher percentage confidence of identification than this one. I'm colorblind, and it must have just been in the background, or there was some front ground noise. There's a fountain that runs in the backyard sometimes. This one looks erratic, but you can still see that same pattern, that kia, kia, and then here, and then in this one, and then this one, and this one, and then this is a kia, 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 kia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to talk about that one in a second. Thanks for attending my TED Talk. The standard confidence to report a result is 70%, with a maximum of 1% and a minimum of 1% and a maximum of 99%. Nobody or any AI is perfect. Bird identification is tricky. You've got to consider factors like what does it look like, what does it sound like, and where are you seeing it, etc., etc., etc. There's books and books and apps on the subject. I would be remiss if I did not mention this bird. This is a northern mockingbird. That first part, the chia-cha, 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 is northern mockingbird. Uh, and they are called a mockingbird for a reason, because sometimes they sound like an eastern bluebird or an American crow or a red shoulder hawk or an eastern phoebe. I've actually had sat in the yard one day and a northern mockingbird did 8 calls that were identified by Merlin, which is another AI powered acoustic identification app for birds. It did like 8 birds in a row, all at a high enough confidence level that the app identified them, but it was one mockingbird sitting in a tree chirping away. Sorry. So other issues, siren sounds, mechanical siren sounds can be misidentified as screech owls. The classifier model is updated regularly with additional classifiers to improve detection. That includes birds and animals and birds and other animals, and mechanical sounds that are often misinterpreted or misidentified, sounds that create false positives, can be added to the classifier model to exclude them from being identified as birds. False negatives. The model says the bird is not there, but actually audible in the recording. Analysis runs 24/7. The limitation of the system is it only identifies spectrograms with a confidence of 70%. The BirdNet station operator, me in this case, could use visual identification to confirm species to a lower confidence level. Or like if I see a bird but it doesn't show up on the Raspberry Pi, it means it's still there, but it's not being captured. In practice, not all birds in the area are going to get identified. Some birds aren't as noisy. Hummingbirds stay in my front yard with the hummingbird feeders, unless one comes to my window to remind me to fill up the feeders. I swear that's true. They come around the back occasionally for flowers. But if I see a hummingbird outside my office window in the back, that means it's time to fill up the feeders. So here's a confidence interval. This is an 89% confidence interval, 71% confidence interval. And like I said, going back to this right here, at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that might be a mockingbird that was incorrectly identified, because you can see in all these others, there's 3 calls, there's 4 calls, there's 4 calls, there's 4 calls, but 6, 7, that might be an indication that that was a mockingbird. But I bet not, because the red-shouldered hawks in my backyard are always crying about something. What is model sensitivity and model specificity? The default sensitivity is 70%. 70% represents a best practice in the BirdNet community. Lower than that, you're getting a lot of false positives. Higher than that, you're going to get a lot of false negatives where birds that are there are not being correctly identified. Well, that feels like progress. I got that sentence out. In the generally accepted level of confidence model of high sensitivity can detect very faint sounds that create. I just said that. A model with a high specificity will be very reliable. Thus, a bird is detected, that detection is often correct. Those highly specific models also miss birds because they don't meet that same threshold. So 70% is kind of the balancing point between false positives and false negatives. I could turn it up, turn it down. I probably won't for at least a year, just to get a whole big picture of what it looked like for historical purposes. or for research purposes to be able to go back and look at the whole data set and go back again and review it as new data comes in. Classifier models are regularly updated. I mentioned this. They recently added a mechanical siren, like a car alarm or something, to help reduce the screech owl false positives, because screech owls and sirens have the same classifier model. They have similar shapes of spectrograms. Human vocalizations are detected. If human vocalizations are detected, the samples are not submitted, so that it's just clean bird sounds and background noises. They don't want this to be a privacy app. The model is expanded to include other animals, which I think is pretty cool. I'm actually looking forward to this because, like, the amphibians, the frogs in the backyard, be interesting to know what kind of frogs I've got, and what other kind of animals. I know I've got coyotes, and I don't know if armadillos make any noise, but they're coming soon. But we've got coyotes and frogs and bobcats. That'd be a good one to know. The other thing that I wanted to say is metadata filtering, that it uses latitude, longitude, location, and date to help define the predictions. So that if a bird, you wouldn't expect to see a bird in a place and it's there, it'll show up. And then I got all this info from multiple sources, but primarily this was just copy and pasted from because I find it some of it impenetrable. Thanks for attending my presentation. Signed by AI. Thank you for attending this presentation on My Backyard Birds by me, Jon Bruce. I'll see you in the field. Yeah. So, and then the other thing was geolocation, that it accounts for various factors. Let me just go back to it.